Yes, good evening. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. Dr. Wallace Gator Bradley. I'm the host of the Bradley Report. I'm also the president of United Peace, Inc. I got an interesting show because I want to show you about this 2025, okay? And this show was put together by none other than the chairman of United Peace, Inc. And her name is Terry Marsh Bradley. And this show is presented by United in Peace, Inc. There's issues that everyone want to talk about. So much is happening. President is coming. No, the vice president is in Georgia. The former president will be coming to Chicago for the Black Publishers, whatever it is. But needless to say, to God be the glory. Let's get on with this story. Sister Monty, could you hit that for me, please?
When you go to the polls in this country as a parent, you should have more power. You should have more of an ability to speak your voice in our democratic republic than people who don't have kids. Let's face the consequences and the reality.
On its face, you just saw another viral clip of J.D. Vance being weird about Americans needing to have more babies. But this position, which is blatantly anti-democratic, captures how future leaders of a second Trump administration likely define family in the first place. Project 2025 is rooted in Christian nationalism. The architects want to change the framework of our society to restore the family as they understand it as the centerpiece of American life. And their version of family is defined in a very specific way, where only white Christian men have power and they get to exercise it over how their wives and children and the rest of us exist in the world. The sole purpose of women in their perfect society is to, of course, have babies, even if it kills them. Abortion is mentioned 199 times in the Project 2025 manifesto. As part of the project's wish list, Republicans are calling to regulate pregnancy and abortion by misinterpreting a 19th century law known as the Comstock Act to ban the mailing of drugs used in medication abortions. It doesn't stop there. Project 2025 also calls for gutting protections for the LGBTQ community by stripping away federal non-discrimination protections and eliminating all transgender health care under Medicare and Medicaid. Joining me now is Robert P. Jones, president and founder of the Public Religion Research Institute and author of The Hidden Roots of White Supremacy, and Kelly Robinson, president of the Human Rights Campaign and the former executive director of the Planned Parenthood Action Fund. And Kelly, you're acting in both. I'm having you represent both organizations in some ways, but also just talk about this from an activist point of view and from a civil rights point of view, the threats to women. Abortion was not mentioned at the RNC convention, but it's mentioned here, and it is in jeopardy.
Well, that was by design. Yeah, they wanted us to forget that they had taken credit for overturning Roe v. Wade. And the scary thing is, when you look at so much of Project 2025, they are using certain communities as scapegoats, but only to design ways to restrict all of us. You know, J.D. Vance was just talking about how he wanted to stop women from being able to travel across state lines to get care. Well, doesn't that sound a lot like the Fugitive Slave Act, right? Doesn't that sound a lot like what they intend to do for trans people trying to get health care? So what we have to understand is all of this is connected. It is a scary plan. It is a dangerous one. And when you look at some of their strategies, it's flat out creepy how they want to control our lives, who we love, and how we live.
Yeah, and men would be in jeopardy, too, because if you're transporting a woman across state lines, you, too, would be in jeopardy. This is some, men have daughters, they have sisters, they have wives. So this is a plan to essentially Handmaid's Tale this country by force. And I want to talk to you a little bit, Rob, because you're such a great guy with the data, and you know this data inside and out. This is a very tiny percentage of the American people who are hyper right-wing Christians. I'm a Christian. I grew up in the church. But this is not Christianity as most of us practice it. How small is this group of people that would be exercising power over the rest of us?
Well, the good news for our democracy is that 2/3 of the country rejects this vision.
Yeah.
It's about 3 in 10 Americans who who can be identified as Christian nationalists, either adherents or sympathizers to this worldview that you've described fairly well. But 2/3 of the country does not. But it's also 2/3 of white evangelicals that do embrace this. Right. It's a majority of Republicans who do embrace this. So it's wildly out of step with mainstream America, but it is at the heart of the MAGA movement that's fueled by white evangelical Protestants, and that you see, like, all the way into this document.
When you hear Donald Trump say, "Don't worry, Christians, just vote this one time, you'll never have to vote again," what did you hear?
You know, it's remarkable that Trump, this is even a remarkable thing to say, but the most extreme things that Trump says, he tends to say for white Christian audiences.
Yeah.
That statement about he could walk down Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody in the middle, that was at evangelical college that he made that statement. You know, so, I don't think this is hyperbole. I mean, I really do think, like this document, we are getting in real time a telegraphed statement about what they intend to do. And it's an authoritarian white Christian nationalist vision, where, as you said, it's white Christian men who are at the top of the power pyramid. The word order appears over and over. An ordered society, a well-ordered society, ordered liberty. All that is code for hierarchy, right? It's this old 19th century vision that has this ancient, and it's not all Christians, to be sure, but this older vision of a white Christian America really baked into the center of it.
What do you find the most alarming and the most frightening, the thing that you want people to know about, top of mind?
You know, how they are using the federal government to institutionalize bigotry structurally, right? The idea that he would come into office and fire nearly 1 million federal workers, career workers, right? That's scary. And then input foot soldiers that would just carry out his will. The idea that they want to turn the Health and Human Services Agency into the Department of Life and charge it with promoting heterosexuality as the quote unquote ideal family unit, and then attach federal benefits to those criteria. That's scary. And I think ultimately here, we're not just talking about policies that are impacting specific communities, though that's laid out quite clearly in Project 2025. But what we're talking about is the undermining of democracy. He's even saying out loud, if you vote in this election for him, for Donald Trump, that could be the last election you have to vote for. As Dr. Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
The first time. People always leave out the first time.
Yes.
What alarms you the most?
There's actually 2 sentences out of all this 900 pages that I think were the most chilling to me to read. I'm just going to read them here.
Yes, please.
They said, an individual must be free to live as his creator ordained in order to flourish. Our Constitution grants each of us the liberty to do not what we want, but what we ought. Now, who gets to define that ought? The very next sentence gives us a clue. The pursuit of the good life is found primarily in family, marriage, children, Thanksgiving dinners, and the like. So that other 900 pages, that's in the foreword of this document. What the other 900 pages really are about that 1950s Norman Rockwell vision of a white Christian America, with white Christian men and their heterosexual marriages kind of reigning up here and everybody else knowing their place.
And for women, what are the most alarming things? Because obviously a national ban on abortion would be a part of it, but there's a lot more to it. I mean, the Comstock Act looms pretty large. You could use it in more ways than just to stop abortion.
Absolutely. I mean, this is going to fundamentally reshape American life for women in this country. I mean, you can see all of that laid out in Project 2025. But I do have to say this. It clearly calls for a national ban on abortion. They intend to make that the reality. Also, I mean, the ways that they're defining heterosexuality and the ideal family unit, they are actually trying to put provisions into place to control us in our decisions. I mean, this trad wife, kind of housewife trend that they're trying to promote, that's actually a system of power and control over women's lives. So let's be clear. Everything that we enjoy today is our normal way of being, right? From being able to go to work, to raise your kids in the way that you choose, to have a partner that you decide and pick, all of that, they're saying they want the government to control it. So let's be clear. This is a dangerous, dangerous document that's laying out exactly what they plan to do.
Yeah. Robert P. Jones, Kelly Robinson, thank you both very much.
You know, that's why it's so important with technology and the information hotline and everybody can get the word out. Because of that segment, in my opinion, that Joy Reid has done to lay out the plan of 2025. It just come across my phone where the director of Project 2025, the conservative blueprint for a potential second term. Hold on 1 minute here. The director of Project 2025, the conservative blueprint for a potential second term of Donald Trump, has stepped down amid intense criticism, including from the former president. Paul Dance, a former top advisor in Trump's administration, steered Project 2025 as he carved a leading role and shaping discourse around what conservatives dreamed they could accomplish if Republicans, not all Republicans, the Trump MAGA Republicans, won back the White House. While the source with the knowledge of the planning said Project 2025 would be effectively ending its policy operations, others familiar with the matter noted that it was always the plan to move on to the next phase. Now, an efforts to build a conservative personnel apparatus will continue. That blueprint, they got the data of people that they want to bring in to take over and everything else. You're going to hear more about that in the coming week. But let's get on to the next one, Amani.
If you've heard of it, it is a 900-page transition guide for how to overhaul and then run the executive branch. It includes ways to force a nationwide abortion ban, among a lot of other things. It's understandable that Donald Trump would try to claim he knows nothing about it, given that a nationwide abortion ban is so completely unpopular. But it's not convincing that he doesn't know about it, since many from his own administration are the ones who wrote sections of it, including Peter Navarro, Ben Carson, and Christopher Miller. And the think tank behind it, the Heritage Foundation, is one of the sponsors of next week's RNC. Joining us now, NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard. Former President Trump knows who the Heritage Foundation is. He knows who Ben Carson is. He knows who Peter Navarro is. I mean, these are people that served in the administration, and he's spoken about them and the foundation in the past.
Right. They helped with his 2016 transition. Some of their top officials helped fill out their administration the first go around. He spoke at a dinner in Washington, D.C. that I was at with the Heritage Foundation in 2017. And I want to let you listen from another dinner of Heritage Foundation that he attended in 2022, because he was giving a tip of the cap to the very project that they were working on, Project 2025, before they ultimately published it in early 2023. Take a listen.
Because our country is going to hell. The critical job of institutions such as Heritage is to lay the groundwork, and Heritage does such an incredible job at that. This is a great group, and they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do and what your movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America. And that's coming. That's coming.
That's coming, and it did, and it came out to be known as Project 2025. And so I think this is what actually caught a lot of people associated with Project 2025 off guard, is because some of his closest team, including his own current press secretary, Caroline Levitt, was involved with Project 2025 before she joined the campaign. Stephen Miller, you have folks like Ben Carson. And so now Donald Trump is understanding that when you release a 900-page policy book, there are going to be some parts of it that are going to be extrapolated by your opponents, the Democrats, and that they're going to call attention to those parts of it. And some of them may not be popular with the majority of Americans. And that is where you saw Donald Trump now trying to disassociate and distance himself from the Project 2025
also
effort.
Point out, because people say, and rightly so, that the former President Trump is not the man he used to be. I think that clip illustrates it decently when he was trying to say the word heritage and failing. Vaughn Hilliard, thank you so much.
Association of Black Journalists is facing backlash after announcing Monday that Donald Trump would take part in a Q&A at the organization's annual convention. The group announced the session last Monday, with the convention set to kick off Wednesday in Chicago. The former president will discuss issues facing the black community through questions from ABC News, Fox News, and other journalists. The announcement quickly prompted backlash from some black journalists who said they were disgusted and expressed concerns over Trump's rhetoric towards black people. Organizers with the Black Voters Matter Fund, a voting rights advocacy group founded in 2016 amid Trump's ascent, called the decision unacceptable. is a slap in the face of every black journalist and the communities we serve. Meanwhile, Washington Post columnist and Global Opinions editor Karen Attach, I hope I pronounced her name correctly, said on X that she was stepping down from her position as co-chair of the convention. While my decision was influenced by a variety of factors, I was not involved or consulted in any way with the decision to platform Trump in such a format. People are coming together. As a matter of fact, Megan Thee Stallion will be performing in Atlanta because she's in full support of Vice President Kamala Harris becoming the president. 160,000 white men or 130,000 white men for Harris had their phone call plan. They raised $3 million. The white women, I may have those numbers mixed up, they raised $8 million, but it was in 100,000 plus. 45,000 African-American women came together, raised $1 million. Black men coming together, raised millions. Everyone is coming together because that 2025. So vote, don't choke. It ain't on Biden. It ain't on Kamala. It's on us, the voter. To God be the glory. That's Gator's story.